You're listening to Parasearch Radio. News, views and reviews from the world of the paranormal from across the UK and beyond. Find us on Facebook, Twitter and the World Wide Web. The views and opinions expressed by presenters and guests are their own and do not necessarily reflect the official policy or position of Parasearch Radio or their affiliates and sponsors. Listener discretion is advised.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to another edition, a rather special edition of the Paranormal Concept Show. I'm going to be the host tonight, but Kerry's going to take over for me.
Strange that.
That's why it's special.
It is, yeah. That's what's so special about it. I'm going to let Kerry run with this.
Oh, mate, you know I love to run with something. Well, we've got
everybody, I'd like to welcome Kerry Greenaway.
We've got Alex S. King in the studio with us. Good evening, Alex.
Good evening to you both.
And how are you?
One is fine, thank you.
Good. So, Alex, why are you behaving so well right now?
Well, as in, why am I speaking in a very posh English accent? It's because I am possessed by a very posh demon.
Oh, right, okay. So, Alex, right, you run a podcast too. Can you just, because we know who you are, we know what you've done, we've interviewed you plenty of times before about your paranormal journey.
If you don't know who I am, don't Google me, because you'll just end up getting either a former English rugby player or a kid that killed his own dad. So don't Google me.
Okay, guys, you heard it here first. Don't Google Alex.
So which one are you?
Neither, thankfully, thank you.
So I want to know about your podcast, because you've gone away and you've kind of come away from the investigation side and you're concentrating more on research and podcasting at the moment, aren't you?
Yeah, I kind of, I suppose in a way it's kind of like the media aspects of the paranormal rather than the actual investigation side of things.
Mm-hmm. So
that's how I would describe it.
I mean, I know Paul's kind of done that too. So this is the avenue I kind of wanted to explore with you guys tonight, because we've all kind of done that. We've all kind of stepped more into like a research, podcasting kind of environment for our work, for our interest in the field. So why do you think that is? Why do you think we've all done that? Because we've all followed the same pathway pretty much on this one.
Well, I mean, if I'm honest, I mean, one of the main things is because obviously Helena's pregnant, so that's sort of taken a toll on the fact that we've not really been able to plan anything. And obviously, at least for the next year, we probably won't be doing any other investigations. And I don't know, I mean, I think it's because the American Ghost Hunter show, I know it's called the American Ghost Hunter show and I'm not American, I do apologise. Don't know why I'm doing it on this show. Apologising for that. I apologise a lot when I'm hosting the American Ghost Hunter show. But anyway, so yeah, I think it's just because that took off so much, and with everything else going on, it just, I don't know, we just didn't find time to investigate. Plus, the cost of investigating is a lot, and I'm very poor.
Oh, I'm with you, mate. I'm in the poor camp.
So you know, it's sort of a cocktail of things, really. So yeah, that's basically what it is. But I mean, the main thing is this is because I became so busy with the American Ghost Hunter show and Living Paranormal magazine that we just haven't found the time to actually go out and investigate.
Paul, because you've gone through the similar process, and Alex is understandable. He's going to be a daddy. So kind of why have you kind of gone the route you've gone? Did you just get bored with investigating?
No, not at all. I mean, I do love going out and investigating, but again, because of more health issues than anything, I find the research easier to do and just as enjoyable as actually going out and doing the investigation. I go out and go to other people's investigations. I still do have a team that have taken on my workload, as in the respect of actually booking the events and hosting them and stuff like that. So that's sort of taken the weight off of my shoulders for that side of things. And we've got like 3 or 4 events booked up. I think there's even some for next year as well now. So it's sort of taken the weight off my shoulders, but I can still attend those if I want to. So I still go out and investigate. I mean, I do some investigations as well for Parasearch. And then I can always come back and do a show on it. And for me, it's about sharing my experiences with other people and helping progress the paranormal field. That's sort of where I'm at the moment. And I do love doing research. As you know, I've written quite a few blogs this month on various folklores and stuff like that. And I just really enjoyed doing the research for those. And, the feedback I've been getting is absolutely amazing. And, it just spurns me on to do some more. So, yeah, I do like doing the research side of things as well. So that's sort of where I'm going at the moment.
Well, Alex
I haven't completely disappeared from the investigation scene.
Well, Alex does a lot more research because you do live in Paranormal Magazine, don't you, Alex? So you have to do a lot more researching and stuff.
Yeah, but thankfully I'm not writing all the articles, so I don't. Obviously I write my own articles, so obviously I research into that subject, but I don't really help anyone else with their stuff. But obviously, I do an article at least every issue, so I'm always researching something different.
Yeah.
Just as an example, the last issue of LPM that came out, where are we now? Around Independence Day, so like between the 1st and 4th of July. That was issue 13. I wrote about the Nazis and their use of psychics, basically. And obviously, I touched on their use of astrology and things like that as well. But not a lot of people realise is that, obviously I know some people might realise it, but the Nazis are very into their occult stuff. And Himmler, head of the SS, was very into it. Even though... because I've forgotten his name now. Not Hitler. I haven't forgotten his name. But he's like one of his right-hand men flew over. Rudolf Hess. He flew over to the UK to try and negotiate some sort of peace treaty because his astrologist told him it was the right path. And because of that, the Nazis implemented something called Special Operation Hess and basically put all psychics and anything that's sort of attached to that in the concentration camps. But Himmler managed to, convince his boss to allow some of them out, and they actually used the psychics to find out where Mussolini was being held captured. In the Italian mountains, and I don't know what the psychic's name, but a psychic used a pendulum over a map of Italy, and it kept stopping and concentrating on one part, which was in the Italian Alps or another mountain range in Italy, and that's where he was being kept. And then they launched a special operation to go and rescue him. And if anything, that was probably Hitler's last major victory of World War II. Because from down there it's kind of like down from then onwards it's just kind of downhill. So obviously I researched into all of that.
I do know, again, not about the World War, but in particular the American government, they were conducting experiments into psychic ability to try and read documents from the Russians during the Cold War. And it was almost like a sort of astral projection type thing. I don't know how deep and that they got into it, but I do know that they did experiment with that.
Yeah, you'd be surprised how often people use like occult methods in, they're running on the government for some reason. Not that I think they're using them now. If they are, they're getting it all wrong. But let's not go into that.
So, guys, when you're doing your writing, do you have a specific area of research that that fascinates you, that you'll gravitate towards more than others?
Well, the reason why I wrote about the Nazis in the last magazines was, one, I do have an interest in World War II. It's a subject that's popped up there before, although it's the first time that I've written about something involving World War II. But the reason why I looked more into it is because it was on a documentary on like Yesterday or one of the other historical channels on Sky. So I thought, I might write about that. I mean, I tend to write something that I have an interest in. For example, when I wrote about Jack the Ripper, is something that's always fascinated me since I was like 12. Not in a creepy way. Just not like, I might do that myself. No, not like that. Just it was, it's just like, who is he? I mean, I know there's several people who they claim is definitely the person, but I will never say yes or like that's definitely the answer. Yeah. And I've written about different conspiracy theories. I've done my top 10 cults, because cults I find very interesting. So yeah, I mean, it's not one specific thing that I tend to gravitate towards. It's just a mix of things that I have interest in.
No, I agree with that, and it's the same sort of influence for me. I mean, I might see like something on the telly that I think, okay, I could do a show out of that, because that's my primary goal is looking for ideas for shows. And then once I do a show about it, I'm like, well, okay, I've looked into it a little bit for the show, but I want to know more. So I learn more about it, and then I end up writing a blog to complement the shows as well. One of my blogs that I've just written recently is about the missing 411. And I find that subject so fascinating. It's such a large subject that all these people are going missing, and there's so many cases. But on the show, we could only look at I think we looked at 3 or 4 different cases, but there's another 1,200 cases to look at. So I've written a blog and I've looked at another 2 cases. So I might go in and do more blogs on that subject at a later date. But it is, it's all stuff as well that I've been fascinated about since I was a kid. Another blog I've written was The Green Children of Woolpit. I've always been fascinated by that story. And when we'd done these road trips with our station road manager, we went up to Woolpit, and we went into the museum, and there's like loads of information, and we bought the booklets and stuff to go with it, and we even got a copy of the document that was originally written.
Oh, they got really into it, Alex. Honestly.
Oh, absolutely, I did. It was absolutely amazing to go there and just be there, really. So I wrote a really good.
You should come with me to a bakery. It'll be exactly the same. I couldn't say anything then.
Okay, so your magazine comes out what? Tri-yearly? Triannually? What's the?
Yeah.
3 times a year, or 4 times a year?
4 times a year, yeah. Mm-hmm. So the next issue is out on the 3rd of October, I think it is. It's either the 3rd or the 4th. And that's sort of like, because usually we'd release it at the end of the year, so it would be like our Halloween special, but it's going to be our Halloween special, but at the beginning of October. Mm-hmm. Although it says it's Living Paranormal, we have a lot of stuff in there about horror and true crimes as well. So the next issue is going to have reviews for the next chapter of It and Rob Zombie's new film. I can't think it's free to. I can't remember what it's called now. But it's a sequel to The Devil's Rejects. So there's a review about that. I'm actually writing. I'm not doing much writing in this issue because I've got so many people writing now. But I'm writing about the 6 horror films that you should see before the end of the year.
I put money on it. It is on there.
Well, no, because it's coming out just after it is released.
I see.
So that's not going to be on there. It's going to be 6 films up. It's going to be 6 films that are not out yet.
All right, I see.
And then we're going to have an article about voodoo. We're going to have an article about Annie Weeble, who I work with in America. She is going to be doing her top 10 serial killers. And a friend of mine, Jacqueline, is going to be writing about a haunted historical item at that museum in Nottingham, the haunted antiques place. And yeah, I mean, there's going to be other things in there. Lee Roberts, who has just started to write for us, is going to be doing like the latest paranormal news.
Okay, yeah.
Which is something I used to do every now and then, but I kind of just stopped doing it because I used to do it myself and I just don't have time. So he's going to be doing that for me. And there's loads of other people that are writing as well.
It's going to be a booklet rather than a magazine soon, isn't it?
There's like 20 of us nearly. So it's going to be a very big issue.
So that's built better and quicker than you anticipated, the magazine, hasn't it?
To an extent, yeah. I mean, it kind of summited, but it still, kept a steady download or views. I can't actually count how many people download it. I can only see how many people go on the page to download it. But judging by that, it's kept a steady audience, so to speak.
Yeah.
We were doing it every 2 months, but due to my heavy workload, we had to reduce it to a quarterly magazine. But most paranormal magazines I find are anyway these days. Because I edit the whole thing, and it's not just about putting the articles in. I design all the artwork for it generally. Obviously, I write my own article, so that's why we made it a quarterly magazine. Because I just don't have time to do everything.
Totally get that, because your podcasting took over a while on the Paranormal Warehouse network, didn't it? So tell me how that came about.
Well, I mean, do you want me to go back to the beginning before? Because Daryl Marston, who's been a friend of us for it was Helena that first met him, and then obviously, I met him. And
checking out the competition, was you?
Let's be honest. Daryl is in competition. He's now in probably one of the biggest ghost hunting shows.
Yeah, right.
In the world at the moment. So, although it's not out here or any other countries, out in America, it's definitely. I mean, I'm pretty sure it would be over here at least next year.
Is there any way, legally, obviously, that you can see it maybe online? Is it uploaded online anywhere?
Yeah, but you have to be in America to view it.
Oh.
It's on the A&E website. As far as I'm aware, I don't know if it's the whole episode, but there's a lot of clips that are on the A&E website. But unless you have a VPN, you can't access certain websites in America. The only reason why I watched the first episode is because I got a friend of mine in America to Skype with me, so I could see it.
Oh, clever boy!
I watched the first episode. I couldn't watch the second episode because I was too tired to stay up till 2:00. Well, stay up till 3 actually, because that's when it ends. But it is a proper paranormal investigative TV show. It's not like Ghost Adventures or Most Haunted or anything like that, where it seems really, no disrespect, fake. Ghost Hunters seems very genuine, very real, and that and one of the things that Grant has said about the new season is that it's more about the clients rather than the evidence, rather than getting a ghost on camera. It's more about helping the people. And that is what paranormal investigation is about generally. But yeah, so I mean, Daryl started the American Ghost Hunter show beginning of 2017. He was on a friend's YouTube page, and then we ended up going on K-Core, where our viewers went from like 10 a night to like 1,000, and then when we went on to Paranormal Warehouse, we can have views anywhere between 2 and 15,000 people. I think the highest that we've had is about 17,000, where we had Karen Darlam on doing a Ouija board reading session.
Yeah, I saw that.
Which was fun because a lot of people were going on about demons and that we shouldn't be doing what we're doing and blah, 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 blah. Not they looked into what Karen does whatsoever. So I mean, Paranormal Warehouse is possibly one of the biggest sort of paranormal entertainment Facebook / channels, or whatever you want to refer to it, on Facebook. And Mike and Chris, who run it, they're great, and they put a lot of hard work into it, and they give me and all the other show hosts a lot of support. And it's just a great place to be. It's a great thing to be part of. And obviously with Daryl having to work on Ghost Hunters, I mean, he's been filming since the end of March, and they wrap in January. Obviously, he just asked me to take over as the main host. So that's what I'm doing now. So it's weird. Like I said, it's the American Ghost Hunter show, and I'm British. And I have apologised on many occasions. I mean, we have had comments. Why is there a British guy on the show?
It's called the American
to show them how
Ghost
to do
Hunter
it
show,
properly,
don't you know?
obviously.
But Daryl and me, we work very closely. I mean, I've helped him set up his social media, and I designed his website for him. And we're still working on other things behind the scenes, obviously, but people can't see it like they do if they were to tune into when we were both on the American Ghost Hunter show. But I've got a lot of other hosts that come on with me. I mean, Greg, who's been on it who's been working on AGHS since the beginning. And I've got my friends, like I said, Annie Weeble, Ashley Storm, and of course, Helena, although, she is pregnant at the moment, so so she can't. So yeah. So I mean, I book everybody. I run the page, run the website, host the show. So I do everything.
Yeah.
Even when Daryl was on it.
So right now, between us all, we've interviewed quite a few people in the field, I'd say. We've covered quite a range of people. What's your favourites in all of that time?
I don't know, really. I mean, we've interviewed you, and obviously you're always
just sweet talking, baby boy.
Yeah.
One of your favourite interviews. I'm going to take that. I'm going to put a post. Alex King says I'm one of his favourite interviews.
I mean, of course, you're one of my favourite interviews because you're a friend. So that's no, you can't get away from that.
That's funny because he's not interviewed me yet.
Yeah. Paul, you have a face for radio, not visual. No. So,
no, that's true. Very true. I'll give you that. Yeah.
Exactly. I mean, neither do I, but they don't have a choice. I run it. But I mean, we've interviewed Nick Groff and Elizabeth Saint before. I've interviewed Barry John, the medium. He's come on and done readings and stuff. He's a lovely man. Trying to think of everyone now. Ashley Godwin, who was on Ghost Hunters International and now does her own thing. Jack Kenner.
You're just doing your friends list now.
Well, I mean, they are my friends. That's the thing. I can't.
It is, isn't it?
Technically, Daryl last on Sunday was a ghost on his own. Was a guest on his own show. So obviously, I have to say Daryl. But me and him have a chemistry like from working together anyway. So goes without question. I'm just trying to. I mean, there's a lot of American TV personalities because there's a lot more ghost hunting shows in America that we've had on, like Doogie from Tennessee Wraith Chasers, who have a show in America. I don't know what it's called because I can't remember. I can't think of anyone else. I know there's other people, but I just can't think of them right now. But
just a hint, you've kind of got to say Penny in that.
Penny hasn't been on the show yet.
I thought she'd been on your show.
No, I keep telling her to let me know when she's available. Unless it was the other way around, I don't know. I mean, I went through a message the other day, and about 30 people down, there was someone that was meant to message back, and I forgot. Because I have like overlapping messages, people that are constantly getting in contact with me, and I just keep losing things that people I'm talking to as I go further down the list because I've got other people messaging me, and with my memory as it is, it's just not a good mix.
I have to say, I know this as a fact because whenever I message Alex, I don't ever expect an immediate response.
I always say to people, if I don't reply, it's not because I'm ignoring you, it's because I'm awful. My memory is awful at the moment, and I've got so many
baby
people
brain,
that
everybody.
in contact. I always say to people, if you need to chase me, just chase me. I'm not going to get angry at you. It's just I'm so busy, because it's never personal.
I think it's baby brain, personally. You're not supposed to have it. Helena's supposed to have that. Are you coming out in sympathy?
I thought you meant I have a baby brain.
No. It's because you're into baby mode at the moment.
Oh yeah, I mean everything is baby at the moment. But no, I mean it's just I have to speak to so many different people, and it's just hard to keep up with everybody. Because I've had to label people on my chat, so I know if they're doing something for LPM, as an example. Because I was like, I know there's other people that are writing articles for me, but I can't remember who they are, and I'm like going through all my messages. I'm like, right, him, yep. So, yeah, there's a lot of people. I mean, like Nigel Webster from Spectre has written something for me as well. He sent that to me like a few weeks ago, and I completely forgot he sent it because I couldn't actually find it. And then I went to message him to see how he is, and then he was like, "Oh, hang on, he sent me something, didn't he?" So I had to go back and find that. Sam Baltrusis, who is sort of like a big New England paranormal guy. He's a curator of some museums and does a lot about the Salem witches, and he's been on a few shows in America, like on the Travel Channel. I mean, like he's written something as well, and then like I said, there's like another 18 other people, so it's kind of getting to keep track with everything.
Paul knows this one, don't you, Paul? Keeping organised is half the battle as a podcaster. Because not only are you booking guests and dates, things change and you're having to change the schedule, and then you're having to advertise it and be there, do all the studio work and the research for the shows. It is challenging, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I've put a status on Facebook like probably a month or so ago. I said, "Oh my god, I'm so busy at the moment, I can't keep up. I'm so sorry if I'm ignoring you. I haven't replied to you," because it was like I hate it when people go on about how busy their life is and stuff on Facebook, and then I'm finding out I'm having to do it myself because I'm forgetting people. So, because it's never personal. I never purposely ignore someone. It's just I've got a lot on my plate.
But it is true, isn't it? Because you have a life outside the radio as well, and you're doing things that you need to get done, and it's not always able to have that 100% focus. And it would be great if you could.
I mean, I'm taking after mid-October, I'm going to be taking a hiatus away from the paranormal for a while, so I can focus on having the new thing in my life. And I want to give all my attention to Helena and my son, so I probably won't return. I mean, I'll do the odd show, but I probably won't return until at least the end of February next year.
You watch it. It'd be a case of, now you've said that, 2 weeks into it, you'll be coming back for a break.
Oh, you'll be on at all hours of the night, my love.
It won't be 2 weeks into my break, because that's around the time my son is due.
Right, 3 then.
I'm going live on the American Ghost Hunter Show page, where all the action is at the birth.
Yeah, live feed it, mate.
Head.
That seems to be the trend. Live stream it.
No, I would never do that. I'm not
that
poor desperate
Helena.
to get.
Poor Helena.
I would never,
She's probably going to hit me next time she sees me for giving you mad ideas.
That's it. You're live on Facebook. Please do not swear.
Because one, I'll probably be like sucking on the gas in air when the nurses aren't looking, and two, I'm me and Helena aren't that desperate for attention, so it's like, and there's some people nowadays who just have to, they live their life on social media. It started with things like Big Brother, and now it's on Instagram. It's just I don't know how people can do it.
I can't stand live.
Yeah, it's just think it's part of the culture now. It's part of social culture, isn't it? Now, in what field you're in. If you're in catering, it'll be your friend caterers showing off. It's cake-upmanship is what it would
funny.
be.
I'm always talking about how big the paranormal industry is now, and it is, but it's only because it's all over my Facebook, because that's the industry I'm in.
Exactly.
If I was in the other industry, I'd be saying exactly the same things. I used to be the manager of a tile shop, so I could say, the tile industry is so huge at the moment. But then again, that's because I'm in that industry. But no, I mean, the paranormal industry is, compared to 10 years ago, it is massive, and social media is part of the reason why.
I have to say, in the last, since I began, which isn't that far back, actually, I've not been around as long as Paul has, most definitely, but I would say in the last 5 years, it's changed the landscape of paranormal, social and investigations have changed so much, haven't they, boys?
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
Obviously. Yeah, obviously, there's so many paranormal teams out there. I think there's too many. Obviously, you had people uploading stuff onto YouTube, and suddenly it became possible for people to create shows and sell them via Amazon Prime. And we did go down that road for a little bit, but it didn't. I don't know. It's just never really did anything for us. And then somehow we just ended up doing this podcast with Daryl and everyone else, and that's where we kind of got stuck doing.
Yeah, but I think, to be fair, I think you find your niche. Doing videos for YouTube is actually it sounds very easy, but there's an editing process and stuff like that goes into it. It's a lot of work. And if you're into that, that's what you do. I like to research and talk. Podcasting is perfect for me. Do you know what I mean? You like to talk to people. You find your niche within the field, don't you?
I know it sounds silly, but if you do a show, if you create a video for YouTube or Facebook or whatever, you kind of have to plan it and script it and think about what you're going to do. But we're doing podcasting. There's a little bit of planning, but you just kind of I never plan anything on our show. I just go for it, basically.
We're doing it wrong, Paul. Maybe we should just go for it.
I look in I research our guests. Because I always say to people, if they message me about coming on the show, I always say, well, tell me about yourself. And every now and then I get the odd one that never gets back to me. I'm sorry, did I offend you? I don't know who you are. Tell me about yourself. So I can't just say yes to anyone, especially now. So I research the person, I look at any videos or anything that there is online that I can, but I don't think I'm going to ask this, I'm going to ask that. I just like to know a bit about them before I interview them, basically. But there's no planning. We just enjoy ourselves, basically. There's a lot of paranormal podcasts out there that are really boring, and they just sort of drone on and on about various things in the paranormal, and they don't seem to enjoy themselves. Obviously, Parasearch not included in that.
Good disclaimer there. Good disclaimer, April.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I feel bad because I have people come on the show who are on TV shows, and I've never watched anything they're in.
No, I don't watch them.
It's like we interviewed Nick Groff. I've never watched one episode of Paranormal Lockdown. I know that I know locations that they've been to, but I've never watched an episode because I just don't really have time.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. Yeah,
keep up with it, and it's not any disrespect. It's just I just don't have time. I don't have time to. I've got friends like yourselves included. Like you do shows and stuff, and I listen when I can, but because I'm so busy with one thing or another, I can't listen like every day or every week or something like that.
Yeah.
Which I think it's perfectly understandable because not all my friends tune into the American Ghost Hunter show all the time, and I don't hold it against them. It's understand.
But you catch it when you can, like you say. If it just happens to be, you're having a downtime, you're having a quick scroll, they're live, you click on it, you go, have a quick, listen, see what's going on. And like you say, you catch snatches, like I call snatches of the new TV program that Paranormal captured.
Yeah, I watched because I don't have live TV in my house. I have Netflix, Amazon Prime, and I can't remember if I have something else or not. But I have like Channel 4 on demand, and like Channel 5 on demand. But if I don't have live TV, so I only managed to see an episode because I happened to be on holiday. So that's why I watched it. So other than that, that's the only episode I saw because I don't. Like I said, I don't have live TV. So.
So do we think, in general, the paranormal field is improving in regards to knowledge? I think it is slowly. I think it's slowly coming forward.
Yeah,
what do you guys think?
There's still a lot of. Try and think of a nice word, Alex. Don't swear.
Misconceptions?
There's still a lot of idiots.
Oh, okay.
There's still a lot of people that think a speck of dust is a ghost, and where they circle things in pictures, and you're like, there's nothing even there, or what I'm saying to people now is, if they show me a piece of evidence, I just say, well, would that make it as a piece of evidence on ghost hunters? And if the answer is no, then it's not evidence as far as I'm concerned, or any other TV show within reason. I don't mean any offence by it. It's just there's a lot of I rarely see anything that I can say is actually that's a ghost. Like there was a picture of somewhere in the UK. I'm not going to say where because I don't want to give it away, but it was in a cathedral, and there was like a stain. There was like a stain or something on the stonework inside that, at a certain angle, looked like a nun or a monk or something. But if you actually look at the picture carefully, you can actually see that the figure is actually just stains. The stone stained, so it's actually on the wall. And they got all pissy at someone because they told them what it actually was. It's like, don't share your evidence if you don't want people telling you that it isn't a ghost. Because I'm more than happy for people to try and debunk my evidence or whatever. I'm not going to persecute someone for doing that, because that's the whole point of our industry. Debunking is probably the first thing a paranormal investigator, one of the first things a paranormal investigator should learn how to do, because that's the point. We're investigators.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. Although I do think that slowly, and I was saying this to Kerry the other night actually, when I first joined the paranormal circles, the pictures of orbs were on the increase. You couldn't move at one point through Facebook without seeing about 15 pictures of orbs. But now there isn't that many, so it is on the decline. And I think that's because a lot of people are now realising the truth behind them.
Yeah.
And now it tends to be the fashion for the pictures with the red rings around it. And I don't like those either. They're just sort of a bugbear of mine. So yeah, I can see where you're thinking.
One thing was, I've been investigating officially in October for 10 years. And I was all into orbs and shit when I first started, but after a couple of years or whatever, I sort of realised that nah, it's not a ghost. There's not, because if I think it's a ghost, then there's like 20 ghosts floating around in this one room that I'm standing in. So I moved on, and
But that's the great thing about the field, isn't it? You do start very naive. I did. I'll hold my hands up. I went into the field off the back of Most Haunted and thought I knew it all, and of course I didn't know nothing.
When I first started investigating, I'd only ever watched one episode of Most Haunted, and I thought, what a load of bollocks. It was an old episode when they had that Radio 1 DJ, Scott Mills, I think it was, on, and a spoon came flying across the room from behind the camera.
Yeah.
And I just said, someone's obviously thrown that, get a grip, or something like that. Saying something like that when I was around a friend's house. So I'd only watched one episode. The only reason why I got into it is because I met Helena 10 years ago. And she had booked an investigation at Mitchell and Priory in East Sussex. So that was my first investigation. And I actually experienced stuff that I could not explain. So, from then on, I became a believer, so to speak. I mean, it's not that I didn't believe in ghosts. I just didn't believe what I saw in Most Haunted was a ghost at that time. Obviously, there's other episodes of Most Haunted that I think are good, but there's a lot of stuff that I just think that's nothing.
But I'll be honest with you, I think most TV programs are like that. I think you can look at them with an eye of, that's interesting, or please don't put what's supposed to be said on an EVP whilst it's playing. Let's at least try and work it out kind of moments, But I do think there are sometimes something there, but most of the time we know with the experience, and that's all it is, isn't it? It's where you start from that point where you start in the field to then come forward, and you look back at what you looked at back then, and you think, God, I've come so far with what I understand about the paranormal, and I think that we can all say that, can't we?
Yeah.
So what's the most fundamental thing that's changed in your understanding? Now, there's a deep question for you guys.
Money. It's got more expensive.
Yeah, I'll give you that one as well. Spot on.
I mean, locations are just ridiculous in price now. You've got to have so much of these special pieces of equipment that cost so much money, and that's the biggest thing that's changed in my eyes, anyway.
It has jumped up a lot, isn't it? With SLS cameras and.
Yeah, I mean, I could get a bit more, like, I could have a more interesting answer, but that's the first thing I think of is money. I mean, there's companies that make paranormal equipment. There's one particular in the UK that I do not like, and they're just ripping you off. Some of these equipment makers, okay, putting together an SLS camera isn't necessarily easy to do if you're not very good with electronics, but they're not that difficult, and they're especially not that difficult if you just use, instead of making a portable one, if you just buy a old Xbox 360 Connect that's got a actual mains plug, and you connect it to your laptop, all you need to do is find out what software you need, and then you download it. The software is free, and then it's just a case of just learning how to use it. It's not difficult, and an Xbox 360 on its own, the Connect, is anywhere between £15 and £30, and the software's free. So all you need is a decent laptop, and this company was selling you an Xbox 360 Connect, and they had got the free software on a disc that they sent with it, and they were selling it for £100. Like, there's no effort putting that into that whatsoever, and I just couldn't believe it. And then when they actually had a mobile Connect, they were selling them for like 500 quid. I just couldn't, and again, I couldn't believe it. I mean, you can put one together for yourself for like 70 quid yourself. I mean, more if you, depending on, if you want a certain type of tablet or, whatever, like, but you can put one together yourself for like £70. It's not difficult, and it could take you less than a day to do it. I just think too many companies, not all of them, there's some good ones out there, but some of them do just rip you off.
Yeah, we was looking, when we talked about paranormal eBay the other week, I found a scary doll with a K2 meter inside it, and it was $125. Exactly.
I mean, there's one guy who is doing stuff, I think, for a reasonable price. I've just bought it's basically a smartphone, but not a smartphone, in like a holder thing. They've converted the smartphone to what's that thing called? Full spectrum. And then there's infrared lights on the handles, and so you can go live in infrared on Facebook or YouTube, as long as you've got an actual, wired internet connection in the place that you're at, or you just, use a hotspot on your phone, because you have to connect it to an outside source. But it was like, I think I paid like £140 for it, and that's not a lot of money considering what you're getting. But yeah, there's just some companies out there who just charge way too much, considering what.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not a great lover of the SLS cameras. I've
gone off them a lot as well.
Yeah, I think they're just too underdeveloped at the moment.
They're too glitchy as well.
Yeah, but I know Carl Hutchinson. He came out with us on an investigation once, quite recently, and he had a SLS camera attached to his iPad thing, but it was programmed differently to most others, and some of the results that he got was really quite interesting. Kerry knows more about it than I do, because she quizzed him everything about it.
One thing I will say about the SLS camera, I mean, if you move too quickly, or you don't keep it very steady, it can start trying to map things in like plants or anything. That is one issue that I have noticed. That's why I tend, when we do use a Connect, I tend to just connect it to the laptop and just leave it steady, standing by itself. So then I know it's not being moved, and it won't start mapping in something for no reason.
Yeah, they're an interesting piece of kit, definitely, but it's tech. I've glazed over. We start talking tech, I'm like, oh my god. Right, so we've got 6 minutes left of the show. You've got a baby on the way with Helena.
Mm-hmm.
Big change
Baby
in your life coming up. Baby Bowie.
Yeah, or Bowie.
Oh,
Wherever,
right, sorry.
side, Bowie, whatever you prefer.
Mm-hmm.
After
And
David Bowie.
obviously, you're a fan of that genre.
Mm-hmm. As I like to call it, real music.
Absolutely. I'll give you that one as well, yeah.
He went through a really weird stage in his career, didn't he?
Yeah, I think because obviously he wrote songs about aliens and things like that, and I think, Helena would know. I'm pretty sure he had UFO experiences growing up, and that's why he wrote about aliens or whatever. But Helena knows more than I do. In that, I just listen to the music.
You just like the music.
Like Dave Grohl, the Foo Fighters, he named the band the Foo Fighters because he had a big interest in UFOs and he was reading about Foo Fighters at the time. So there's another sort of rock and roll / paranormal connection there.
There is a lot of those, though, isn't there? Because when you've looked at it over time, throughout our reading experiences, it's true, isn't it? There is a lot of famous people have had a lot of different experiences they've openly spoken about and not been labelled batshit crazy.
In a way. But I don't blame people for thinking that we're batshit crazy, because until you actually experience something, I don't blame them, because I think you have to experience something and not just see stuff on TV to actually truly believe in the paranormal. If that makes sense.
No, I totally agree. But I also think 99% of people in the field are in it because they've had an experience and they need that explanation.
Not me. I just went to an investigation because I was dating a person that was into it.
And yeah, but look where you are now.
And stuff. I got into it, and yeah. So,
if you hadn't have had that experience though on that first investigation, do you think you would have stuck with it just because Helena was into it, or do you think you would have gone, "Oh, no, it's your thing, babe, you get on with it," kind of scenario?
No, I would have still carried on because I would want to support Helena in anything. So I would still carry it on and just hope that I experience something. But luckily, I've experienced lots of things. So it's not just that first investigation. I've nearly every location I've been to, other than 30 East Drive, I've experienced something paranormal.
Love that. Other than 30 East Drive.
It's true.
Oh dear. So what's next, Alex, for you? You're coming on to the Paranormal Concept Show again very soon, aren't you? And we're going to be dual broadcasting with the Paranormal Warehouse team.
Yes, we were going to do it today, just in case people listening are wondering. But I had to get something fixed on my laptop, so I have to use that so I can do it. I can't do it on my phone. But I will be doing that for you guys. Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome.
And we're going to talk about a topic, and I'll let you know the topic, Alex, nearer the time.
Okay.
Which will be fun, won't it?
Yes, I look forward to it. I like doing shows with you guys, so it's fun.
It's all cool, right?
Yes,
absolutely. Yeah, it's all good. It's all good fun.
I'm not speaking sarcastically. I like doing these shows.
You do what I do. When I say like thank you or sorry, I do not sound sincere, but I am actually being very sincere.
One thing I have noticed is that I have serious resting bitch face. To the extent where I've had guests ask my co-hosts afterwards if I actually liked them. It's like watching the shows back or watch, because usually when I watch it there's like a 10 to 20 second delay, so I sort of watch the show 20 seconds behind what I'm actually doing. And I just notice all the time how angry I always look. But it turns out I've always looked angry because my aunt shared a baby picture of me, and I looked angry as a baby as well. And I'm talking like under 3 months old. I looked angry. So I've always looked angry. And I try looking happier, but I feel that I look a bit like, I look a bit weird, but not in a good way. If I force myself to look happy, I look like I'm like
grimacing.
Looks like I'm going to molest someone or something. I don't know, but yeah. So I just have like a retching. I have a retching face. No, I have a resting bitch face, and it's just not good.
Well, as you said earlier, you just got a face for radio.
Anyway, on that bombshell, everybody, we're actually come to the end of the show. The rest of the week on Parasearch Radio, tomorrow night, Wednesday evening, we've got Haunted Histories. Penny is talking about Vale Mansion with Apex Paranormal. And then on Thursday evening, PSH...
Is that Apex Paranormal from America?
Yeah.
Okay, we've interviewed them on the show, on the American Ghost Hunter show, if it's the same people.
Yeah, it would be.
It must be.
In Missouri?
I think so. I can't remember.
I said that doesn't actually mean that's
where
they're based, everybody, by the way.
I think they worked in healthcare, if it's the same people.
Well, I don't know, because it's not me doing the interview.
We'll find out on the show.
We'll find out tomorrow at 9 p.m.
They're very nice people, if it's the same people.
I would imagine it probably is, because I only know of one Apex Paranormal. And then Thursday evening, PSH Radio, 9 p.m, Mark R. Villa and Lauren Sheridan from Mass Ghost Hunters Paranormal Society will be on with them. And then we're covering Rudloe Manor on Friday evening on the Dark Mirror Show. Myself, Mark, and Carl are talking about UK's Area 51. That's what we've got going on.
Is that in Rudloe?
That's Rudloe Manor, yeah. Down by Corsham.
I thought that would be Rendlesham.
No, it's not. That's just
Rendlesham is like the UK's Roswell.
Yeah, that's right. This is Area 51, Rudloe Manor.
I nearly died at Rendlesham Forest.
I nearly killed him, Alex.
Oh, okay. I'll tell you something though. I've been there at night, and there is a weird atmosphere to Rendlesham Forest, and I don't know what it is.
I agree.
Totally.
I don't know. I can't explain it. There's just something weird in the air.
No, I'm with you on that.
In like the early evening, wasn't it? And it had a weird atmosphere then. Just walking through it was a really strange place.
Because whenever I'm in Essex, obviously I pass it on my way back home. So yeah, it's weird.
I agree with you. It's definitely weird being approached by strangers in the middle of the night asking if you're a certain lady, because I came out the woods with two men.
I can assure viewers at home, if she was, she would have a grand business.
Yes, I would.
She'd make a lot of money.
Well, this bloke had 50 quid ready to give Kerry, so I don't know what he had in mind.
You know, just remember to put.
What's occurring on next week's show then, Kerry?
Oh, goodness me. Right, next week. What have we got next week?
I was going to talk about wet wipes, but carry on.
I'm glad I curved that one off. We're actually talking about curses.
Okay.
That's what you've got in the diary. Curses of Pharaoh.
That's not me, though. Didn't you arrange for a certain Graham Phillips to join us for next week?
Yes! Oh, I've not put that in my diary. Yes! We've got Graham Phillips. Jeepers, I'm reading his book and everything. How can I forget that?
No idea.
It's very busy in my world at times, you know.
Yeah, that's it. And what was you saying about me being unorganised?
Mate, seriously. I
feel so much better now.
Yes.
Yes, we've got Graham Phillips. I literally can't wait for that one. I know it sounds like I've forgotten it. I haven't.
We're talking about the Green Star. I better start reading that Black Alchemist then.
Mate, seriously, when you start entering into the world of this psychic questing and how this has happened, it sounds so fantastical. And he lived this, he experienced it. they found artifacts from psychic impressions that were given, and all the history added up, everything added up, that they all from all the message. Oh God, it is absolutely fascinating.
Excellent. Cool.
I'm very excited about this one.
Yeah. So are you going to close the show down, Kerry? Because you've done everything else tonight.
Oh, yeah. Sorry. Hashtag took over. It was all a bit fly by the seat of our pants kind of night. Anyway, on that note, thank you all so much for listening. Thank you, Alex, for coming on, and we'll be speaking to you very soon.
No, thank you, darling.
And that's a good night from me.
And it's a good night from me.
Good night.
Thank you for listening. Don't forget to join us for more shows throughout the week. Find us on Facebook, Twitter, and the World Wide Web to keep up to date with all the shows right here on Parasearch Radio.